promise you it's all going to come together when we do it at the end. You're going to be like, ah, no, it makes sense. But that's fun. And there's going to be like really 4 steps to it. And so when, in my opinion, when I go for my ankle lock, I kind of like do like a super quick check of like making sure all 4 are okay. That's one, which is tight to the side. Now, when you do it for real, everything's like, you know, within like a second, you're doing all 4. But it makes just a little bit more sense if I break up everyone into each step. And then when you do it live, you know, if one's not working, like check, and you'll see like, oh crap, my elbow's flaring out. And then you'll know that may be what's missing out of the 4 steps, okay? Step 2, and again, right now, I'm just doing same side. And I think I was walking around, everybody's kind of doing it. We're not doing crossbody just yet, we're just doing the same side ankle lock, okay? So we've got our bite nice and tight. Let me see, just so you guys can see. Next thing is, I always find if you feel like you're not getting your ankle lock, check for your hand. So what we were taught was tight, hand goes up as high as you possibly can. Works in both gi and no gi, all right? You kind of see the face already. If you're not getting it, take a look, like when you're live rolling and you're not getting the ankle lock, look down, and I bet you your hand's going to be by your belly. You don't want that. You want to touch your booty, essentially. If you have, sorry, I'll loosen up. If you have a gi on, that's why I'm wearing the gi, grab your gi, like really high, and that's going to cinch it in. If you don't, you just got to kind of hold, all right? So, tight, and then all the way up. Feed, if you have the gi, feed the gi. I'm like a gi guy, that's kind of why I also do straight ankle locks, because we couldn't do like heel hooks in the gi. So, over and up, okay? And you should see like a little bit of a grimace in your partner's face. All right, so try that. So again, because what he's going to do, one way people defend, and there's lots of defenses, is they pry at the hands, or they're pushing and stuff like that, and if you're not getting it, your hand is low. All right, so pinch tight, 1, 2, up real high, okay? And then you pull this in to help keep the foot from flaring out. So that's your 2 steps. Let's go, 1, 2, 3. And again, I mean, everyone's doing this, but yes, your foot will be on this hip, okay? Right, grab, pinch, and then up. Next one was going to be, to help you get this tight, you're gonna roll your shoulder back, right? So if it's not, your foot's not here, so it's tight, up, and then sashay, right? Sashay your shoulder, like that. And that's what's gonna make it extend the foot back, and it's going to be tight against you. And you guys will notice, everyone, like usually the typical ankle lock, you fall on the side and you arch back and stuff like that. We're not even arching. Usually I get to tap before I ever even have to fall to the ground and arch. Usually the guy taps right before I ever even fall. So the guy should be tapping. If you're doing it right, the pain should hurt, not the extension. Just it's like painful in the calf, right? You guys were probably feeling it. And they should tap before you have to fall. So, right, grab, pull them straight, tight, up, and then arch back. Right, and if you're here. Okay? Let's try that. So, you guys get it?
Yep.
Make sense? Everyone able to see?
Yeah.
Right? So just put your shoulder back, and that's what's going to get that even tighter and make the extension. And this hand would be really high up. Yeah?
Back here again, doesn't have to be that high up?
Yeah, it is. It just, I can tell it's hurting him a lot, so I'm lowering it. So yes, it should be high and then go back. Okay? Go ahead, give it a try. Okay, circle back up. I'm just putting this on because there was a question I want everyone to see. And again, the foot's always here because one of his ways to get out of, the one is the bending, all that sort of stuff. But if he pushes my foot down and jumps over, it gets out. So we're not really focusing on that on today's class, but when you're doing it, just get in the habit of doing this, right? So I'm pushing the guy in here, okay? But someone else also asked, when I bite this, if I'm in the gi, where do you grab? Like near side or far side? Grab your far side, it's gonna make it tighter, okay? So when you come all the way across, if you're in the gi and you're grabbing it, feed it, right? Because now it's like super high and it's harder for this thing to fall down. If you're not in the gi, it is a common problem as he fights, like he's kicking his leg and stuff like that, the hand winds up naturally coming down. So it's kind of like I said, you're doing like a check as you go through this and you grab the ankle lock, you got to check to make sure this is down, this is back, and this is up. And when it's not working, it's usually because one of them isn't working. All right? You take this off. Okay. So the bonus move, if it's, hopefully the guy is like in pain when you're partnering and they're tapping because it hurts, right? And what I was telling people is, I'd rather have the guy tap from pain, and you know, if he really fights, if he's really tough and he resists, he's gonna be in pain for like the next like 2 or 3 minutes, as opposed to like the guy who resists, like if you do it the old school way and you just crank, you pop his ankle, like the guy's gonna be out for 6 months. So this way is worst case scenario, the guy's he's gonna limp for the next 2 minutes and then he's gonna be fine. Okay, so right, grab his thing, I do the tight, I do up, and the shoulder back, right? So there's let's call it just the fatty part of your forearm, right? The top or the bottom, depending on how you grab it. This, right? So when you're here, like right now, I don't know if it's easy to see, he's on like my forearm, which is like the muscular fatty part. So you do all your 3. Your 4th is going to be turn your thing like this, and then the bone's going to dig into his calf. Okay. So when you're here and you're all the way up, you turn, and you should see like the grimace go from like normal to like that, and that's when the guy taps. Okay. So all you're doing is turning like that as your 4th thing, and then the bone's got to align with this part, and then it digs into it. All right. So you're here, and then it gets the tap. And if you guys notice, right, I'm not even falling back and stretching. If the guy's like really crazy strong, yeah, you can do all that stuff, but a lot of times you won't need to. Okay, so again, you grab it. For the people who missed it, the 4 is tight, up, back, and then the last is the grinder, where you turn your thing, and this bone, your forearm, is going to dig into his calf. Cool? Let's give it a try. 1, 2, 3.
Always gets a perfect position.
Same man. It's gonna make it hurt. Okay, so a bunch of you guys asked. So like I said, there's 4, right? Just to kind of quickly run through the 4. Again, it's, most people grab here, go back, go high up, shoulder, right, and then the grind. And then people ask, what about the legs? And yes, old school way, this still always stays. So stay here. And some guys have a massive pain threshold. So you may have to fall to the side and then crank back, and then you'll get the traditional one. But the variation I just wanted to show today is this stays. And the problem I had for being short and most of my partners being much taller than me, a huge defense, like when you do all this, is the guy stands up. Right, so you do that, and that's what happens. So if you're tall, if you're taller than your opponent, it's not as much of an issue. But for me, when I would do all this like the regular way, guys would stand up on me, and it was a problem. So a variation you guys could try, do all this stuff so it's the first 4, and then the only other thing is this leg, instead of pinching and doing the whole tightness, is going to be here, and you can either push the guy out like that, or just lift him. And what I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to prevent him from putting his foot on the floor, and then while you're doing all that, you get the rest of the tap. Okay? This is what's going to stop the guy from getting up on you. And if it's gi, it's like even harder because the guy grabs you and starts pulling up. The cool way, the way I'm doing it and showing it, right? I just want to keep it loose just so it doesn't hurt. So you're here, if you grab it like with your gi like this, it allows you to keep this hand free to kind of hand fight the guy because he's trying to grab my gi, and I can kind of keep him at bay, right? And I lift him up like that, and then you could get the tap. Make sense? So people asked about the legs. This is totally fine. You just may find if you're shorter, guys may stand up on you. This could be a way to stop it. I like doing that, and I just kind of elevate and I lift the guy up, and usually by the time he gets up, I'm getting the tap, or you can push, either one. Okay? So that's going to be the leg placement. let's try that. And then, again, just lift up with the foot, and that'll stop the guy from, grabbing the gi and coming up on you. So once they come up on you, it's much tougher to finish. All right, let's give it a try. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, good. You feel it? Am I squeezing the...
I can't move on my toes, but the lower part was.
I know I'm covering a bunch. If any, all week, just ask me if you guys got any questions. Just ask. I'll happily help you out. I love ankle locks. They're good for tiny people. All right. So one of the questions was, like I said, one of the defenses is your elbow's pointing out that if the guy bends his foot, that gets out, right? But let's say you get it, you do everything right, and it's nice and tight, and you can't bend. This is here because you don't want the guy doing that. But sometimes it happens, right? So let's just start again. So I'm here, right? I'm elevating the guy. He knows he can't stand up, and for whatever reason, right, that happens, and I can't get the tap yet. If he hops over, what you should do, because this one's already elevated, this is one of these I like it. All you're doing is switching to the other one. Right. And then it's a game. I mean, if he's able to get out of that one and hops over, then he takes the other one again, right? And then you get it. So, I'll show you one more time. All right. So you did everything right. You got it nice and tight. You're really high. You're here. The guy's not tapping, and he pushes over. Right. Catch it, and then it should tap. Okay. So it's also like a surprise. It catches the guy because he's really focusing on getting out, and you surprise him on the other leg. So let's give that 2 minutes, and then I'll show you some entries of where I find the ankle locks. Okay? 1, 2, 3. So, with all that said, this is right. We're focusing on straight ankle locks, meaning legs on the same side, which is like the most common. Everything I taught you still applies, but actually what I prefer the most is not to take it that way. I take a crossbody. So instead of this here, right, same side, I'm crossing a leg, and everything else is still kind of the same. I just find it hurts a lot more, and you get more pain compliance on the guy. I don't know why. It really does hurt a lot more. So I'm gonna let you guys do that. I'm gonna show you again what I mean, because then my favorite entry is off of everything going cross. All right, so again, same thing. Everything else kind of applies. Actually, you know what? Let me just show you the entry and it'll make more sense. If he's on his back, like, right, I play, a lot of guys play like open guard like this, and if I stand, a great entry is, usually most people, right, you pass and he comes to here. So instead, you tap him before bending or sitting down or anything, right? So you're here, and all you're doing is, right, throwing the legs across, but instead of coming for the pass, you're throwing them right into your ankle lock. And now it's same thing, right? Back, up, shoulder, all that, and the guy should tap. You should see him like lift up off the floor to relieve the pain. Right? So you come in here. Good? Make sense?
Yeah.
Let's give it a go. Give it a try. 1, 2, 3. Try to do one bonus move. You got it. 2 minutes. All right, so just another way to look for the ankle lock. Everything's the same. All right, that was the pass. A lot of guys invert. Right now, if you play with guys who are like this, they invert. And so I like people to invert. And what I do, instead of like pressure passing them and crushing them, I kind of like let go of the pressure and I wait for them to spin. And then when they spin, that's when I take the pin. Okay? So again, Daniel's not really an invert again. But, right? You crush them a little bit. You can even, spin them for you. Whichever way they go. And then they fall right into it and you take your block. Okay? So we don't have time to try it anyway. Yeah. That's just another way to get it. There's like a million ways to get it. Let me just show you one. Actually, we'll show one more. You go inside. This is how I actually got into them, because being smaller on side control, big guy Daniel's like, people do that? I'm like, yeah, when you're small, people shove you all the time. People would shove me like that. It's not obviously great jiu-jitsu, but it happens. And so when you get shoved, I would just fall right back into the ankle lock. So it's another sneaky way to catch it. And now I just bait guys for it. I'll be here. I let them shove me, pretending like, oh, you're so strong. So that's it. That's all we got time for. Hope you liked it. Ask me questions later if you got. All right, we got to go on to the next class. We'll do it one picture real quick.